Let's talk about belonging, because I I've always felt like I had many identities, but not any actually. And we're moving from this house that we've been living in for 3 years now. It would have been 3 years and 2 months, so in April, but we're not gonna get to 3 years. We're gonna move before then, so this month. And before we came here, I used to live in the south. For context, I live in Lebanon. Now I'm in Beirut, so the capital, the city, and I used to be in the south, so more, nature, all that. And I've always thought myself to prefer nature over cities, but when I came here, I flourished. And that clashed with my own sense of ideology and identity, because it is a part of who you are, your preferences, right? And before that, before even coming to Lebanon, I used to be in Congo till I was 11. Then we moved to here, and then now I'm 21, turning 22 in July. And having so many identities, it actually is, you feel like you belong less to a place rather than belong more to more places. Like you belong to many places, you actually feel like an alien a bit everywhere. So before I came to Lebanon, I used to think I was Congolese. I mean, I am Congolese. That's not what I mean. I am Congolese, even on paper I am. And I used to reject the Lebanese identity. I used to reject it completely, because I did not, even though I'm Lebanese, I'm not Congolese actually, like blood, like heritage. I don't have Congolese heritage, not that I know of. And even though I didn't have any of that, just me, the connection I had to Congo was there, and the connection to Lebanon was just not there. I actually dreaded the idea of coming here. I did not want to leave my life. And I remember when I was a kid, I didn't like to be labeled as Lebanese. I liked to not be labeled as that, but as Congolese, right? Because that's all I was. Then I came here and I also became Lebanese all of a sudden, right? Because now I'm collecting identities, and I'm just gaining more and more over time. So am I from the south? Am I from Beirut? I'm not talking on paper. I mean where I belong. Do I prefer this or that? Do I belong here or there? And I feel like this is just a part of life. Now that I'm growing up more, I feel like this feeling of alienation is always gonna be there, because you're never gonna be the same person twice in your life. You're always learning. And you're always growing from a certain point to a certain point, and that's just never gonna change. Throughout your whole life, you're gonna evolve. And if you don't, then I don't know, then you probably have some kind of, your brain isn't working or something, I don't know, because like it means that you're not thinking at all. And I don't think that's possible. And so I'm leaving this house now, I'm going to a new one, and that one is gonna be actually ours, right? It's in our name. This is not a rental. We bought the house. And I really, really, really wanted my room to be like designed by me, and my parents let me do that to a certain extent, within the budget. But why? Why did I feel like I wanted this room to really have my touch in it in its entirety, not only a few things? I wanted it to be like I pick everything, right? And I think it goes back to that sense of, I want to feel like I belong somewhere, because even though I've never lived there, like we haven't even moved there yet, but I'm calling it my house. And for it to feel like my house, or to be my house, it has to have a touch of me. Not it has to touch me, right? You know what I mean? I have to have a touch on it. It doesn't have to have a touch on me, not yet. But I guess I'm speaking about all of this because I used to really not like the South. I used to really hate the people there. I did not have a fun time there. I came to Beirut and I just flourished. I really did. I flourished. I mean, I also grew up, right? It's part of, growing up, you get to know yourself, but I really felt like Beirut allowed me to be someone that the South didn't, right? And this is how I felt for so long, like Beirut is just so much better. I can be who I want to be, people don't care. But I went to the South this weekend. I don't usually go. And for once I felt like I belonged. And for once I felt like it was about the place itself and not the people. Because I used to be a hijabi, I'm not that anymore. I can present myself the way I want. So that plays a part in, the feeling of belonging, because you cannot belong somewhere if you're not being yourself. And so I wasn't that anymore. I wasn't hijabi anymore. I'm presenting myself the way I want to be presented. And I don't know many people there anymore. I mean, I've been here for, what's it gonna be, almost 4 years now? Or has it been 4 years? I'm not even sure. It's gonna be 4 years soon, yeah, in like 6 months. And people like that I used to know there have moved also, or they've moved on with their life. I don't know anyone, no one really knows me. The people that I do know, they accept me for who I am. And I went there this weekend and I didn't do much really. I just found grassy fields and I connected with the land itself. And for once I felt like I belonged. And the wind in my hair felt like a welcome, like a hand reaching out to say, I accept you here, you belong here. I don't think the feeling of alienation will ever go away, ever. And I think that I want to believe that pretty much everyone feels this way in a sense or another. But it made me realize that do I actually prefer Beirut over the South? Or do I prefer who I was allowed to become here? Do I actually prefer Beirut over the South? Or did I just hate the version of me there? And do I prefer Beirut over the South? Or do I just prefer what I associate with Beirut over what I associate with the South? Going this weekend really made me, I felt different. I don't even know how to explain. I like to speak in front of cameras. I like to rant. And I was like, why not just rant about this? They're actually moving right now. Like, they're filling up boxes and we're actively moving out of this house. And I just wanted to ask the question, is it the place that belongs to you, or do you belong to the place?